Greetings, Musto0063 here once again to crack on with Mega Man 5. And you know, since I am medically considered to be underweight, maybe I could stand to put on a few pounds. So how about 14 of them? I guess in this scenario I'm actually getting rid of 14 pounds instead, but meh, what are you going to do? And okay, first thing, this is the most ridiculous stage run you may ever see, and that's all I'm going to say for now. Second thing, I alluded to it in the last video, but Stone Stage is so damn long. It feels like it belongs in Mega Man 8, but I'm jumping several guns there. Regardless, put on a pot of coffee, we're going to be here for a while. And the first adorable enemies we encountered were Metal Mummies, and when you kill one, she unleashes 3 baby Metals which bounce along the floor, but don't have a particularly long lifespan. You can either shoot the babies, that just sounded wrong, didn't it? Or simply wait for them to self-destruct. Maybe they just can't live without their mother. Now this screen takes a bit of setting up, clearing enemies out of the way, although if you're going Buster only, chances are this one floor troller will remain on screen and obstruct where you want to go, which isn't up. The wall in the bottom right hand corner is not the same as the rest of it. It's breakable, and you'll want the prize hidden behind it. It's the letter G, the second one I've collected after the letter M in Gravity Stage. And if you ever play through the game and you ended up missing a letter, odds are it was this one. All the other ones are clearly on show when you make your way through a level normally. This one, and only this one, is sneakily hidden away. Now the bat-type enemies are not too troublesome to deal with. When they awaken, they'll slowly home in on you and every now and then fire a lone pellet shot at you. Emphasis on slow. You may need to work the trade in your favour on occasion, but you should have ample time to plan a decent strategy. Now the rock thrower enemies are pains in the arses. Well, not the one I just killed, I suppose, but more so the one coming up in just a moment. That one gives you practically no time to attack it and avoid taking a hit. So what you need to do is drop down, attack and jump out of the range of the rock. But there's so little time between one rock shattering and another rock landing that it can be irritating to pull off. And as you just saw, I failed. Accidental perfect run attempt over. Now the walking bombs drop down from the ceiling, walk along the floor and try to explode on you. Plan for where they'll drop and take evasive action. You can shoot them if you wish, or they'll explode when they reach a wall. The mouse-type enemies in this screen, named Moosabel, I think that's how you pronounce them, only travel left and right on a platform the same height as it. They can, dependent on the terrain, be a bit annoying to take out with an uncharged Mega Buster, so some of the time you may have to resort to simply dodging rather than destroying. But they're very predictable in their movements, so that shouldn't be too difficult. And even though this screen combines bats, mice and metals, if you take things slowly and don't try to take on too much all at once, you should be fine. Oh, and by the way, I'd say we've only just hit the halfway point in the level. This second of the 2 walking bombs you'll definitely want to shoot, otherwise you'll have nowhere safe to run. And this confused the hell out of me. There's a secret passage there. Whether I was just too close to a damn wall that didn't break apart, I don't know. But yeah, I'll show it off a bit later. And we're finally back outside, although I do hate those enemies. They only take one hit to kill and they move pretty slowly, but gosh darn it, they are deceptively difficult to hit sometimes. And as you just saw, we're also introduced to a new platform gimmick. Those things travel in a certain direction, not always diagonally up like this one, and when they reach their end destination, climb off the screen. Now that one isn't so bad if plummeting off screen catches you unawares, as it will drop you on safe ground. And the game's quite decent like that, not dropping you straight into a pit first time out. Of course later the game won't be so kind, but by then we obviously know how it's going to behave. And by the way, I just talked over me making a huge mess of dealing with that shield shooter, and frankly was a little lucky he didn't knock me into the pit. Now you can only get that one up with the use of Rush Coil or some other utility item, and since it's not mandatory to clear the stage, perfect run attempt rules, although I realise I've already failed this run, don't permit me to use them. Call me crazy though, for some unknown reason I just didn't think I needed the 1-up anyway this run. Nor did I really need this E-Tank, but I go ahead and grab it anyway. It does mean I need to backtrack a little bit in order to scroll the platforms back on screen, further elongating this stage, but it's a pretty easy prize to get if you feel you need it. Oh hey Eddie, what you got for me? Oh really? Ain't even the slightest bit surprised. Now the Mega Buster does work on this breakable wall, although the prize behind that wall is by far the least useful. So we've finally reached the last screen before Stone Man, and I'd recommend taking the upper path here where possible. far less chance of landing on insta-kill spikes. And okay, since I'm just about to get the last one in the stage before the boss, I've got to briefly comment on the 9, yes 9 1-ups I collected during this level. 8 enemy drops and 1 from Eddie. If I had been down to my last life, I'd now be at the maximum I can have. What on earth was the random number generator blinding at? So Stone Man is another one of those ridiculously easy Robot Masters that seems to spend the fight doing very little. His first move will be to perform Power Stone and jump across the screen. But unless you're an idiot, you're never going to run into the stones. They keep to the far right of the screen, miles out of your way. And from that point onwards, provided you stay reasonably close to Stone Man, he'll never even do it again. Not that it's especially threatening anyway. And even more pathetically, he mimics Toad Man and just jumps around rather aimlessly. If he jumps high, he'll land as such force that he breaks apart, and you can't hit him during that time. But seriously, he's pretty pathetic. The only thing you might do is not appreciate that sometimes he takes a moment having reformed to jump, so don't immediately walk or slide into him. But you really shouldn't be getting hit to this guy. I get Power Stone, which is a rather cumbersome weapon that ordinarily I wouldn't recommend all that much. It swirls a couple of stones around you, but it's very unpredictable in terms of hitting things, particularly small enemies. Amazingly, however, it does have some use in taking out power muscles in the Fortress stages, so I guess it's not a total bust. Yep, that really was a 6-minute level. The kind of level that would be really annoying to perfect run if the stage were tricky. Fortunately, despite its length, I can't call it in any way tricky. Okay, so the good news is that you only have 5 minutes of the stage to watch second time around for the perfect run. The bad news is that even at 5 minutes, I don't have nearly enough to talk about for the duration of the entire run. Well, ordinarily. And since the first trouble spot is a fair way in, let me go back to that whole 1-up thing. By the way, I got no dropped 1-ups during this perfect run, not a one. Now, while it's true that in my opinion Mega Man 5 seems to be the most lenient of any of the classic Mega Man games in terms of dropping useful items, and I'm thinking specifically 1-ups here, 9 on one level is frankly ridiculous. If the game genuinely thought I'd need them, then I find myself deeply offended. That aside, I don't know what the odds are of an enemy dropping a 1-up in this game, or on this level, but dropping 9 on one stage without me deliberately farming for them, and feel free to go back and check, every single one was dropped the first time I encountered the enemy, or Eddie, has got to be ridiculously long odds. If only I'd have had the presence of mind to buy a lottery ticket that day. Well, that does bring us reasonably nicely to the first trouble spot of the stage. I mentioned in the Let's Play version, it's the upcoming Rock Thrower. Now, as you can see, by taking my time a bit more, I do a far better job at avoiding the rock fragments. The way I just demonstrated it is one way to get by. The other would be to continue moving to the right, while shooting him obviously. But I'm always nervous about doing that, because he can arc the rocks depending on your proximity to him. And given he's pretty quick off the mark in firing the rocks, I reckon I'm liable to get smacked in the face, and in all likelihood get knocked into the pit for good measure. But either method does work, so take your pick. I have no idea why I bothered to kill that one enemy, but who cares? There was one clumsy screw up in this screen, all caused by me trying to be too quick, and ended up having too many enemies on the screen at once to be able to deal with them. Like I said previously, if you just take your time with this screen, it should be okay. And sorry, with no need for whatever the hell is behind that mystery wall, we'll find out later, trust me. I don't even bother trying to break the wall this time around. It doesn't explain why I went after the G icon, but hey, who knows what on earth I was thinking back when I did this. Now, this actually proved to be the most irritating screen. One mess up, rather like during the Let's Play, to a shield shooter, and a couple on these damn hard to hit enemies, which are called Lyric by the way. Now I don't actually seem to have too much of a problem killing them on this run, but if you think back to the Let's Play version where, despite not actually getting hit, I was having a real tough time of things. And scrolling them back onto the screen, never fun. So this is where I experienced the final outtake, or at least the furthest I got through the stage before pissing up. It was the sense that I was completely unprepared for that Lyric onslaught. I would advise moving to the right edge of the platform to lure the top Lyric down at a nicer angle, allowing yourself room to move back to the left, if needed, to kill it. You suck, Eddie. Where's my almost obligatory extra life? And so, having just entered the final screen before the boss, there's really nothing much else to say about this perfect run. There is one very close call coming up to yet another damn Lyric. Just there. But that aside, the screen went by rather easily. And nor do I have anything else to say about Stoneman. He's frankly a complete pushover. So I guess sit back and enjoy the fight. Or should that be non-fight? So finally, as promised, what is behind this wall? Why, it's another annoying rock thrower. And what with the bomb dropping overhead, it can be a bit difficult to emerge from this room unscathed. But behind him is the reward of an M-tank. This tank refills health and all weapon energy, and is obviously therefore very useful. So there you have it. Not an especially difficult stage, just rather long and tedious. So how does that affect the difficulty analysis? Well, it took me 25 minutes to get the successful perfect run on Stoneman. And that being despite only suffering 7 outtakes, none of which were on the laughably easy Robot Master. It's the length of time it takes to complete the stage that meant it took the 25 minutes. Otherwise, I'm sure it would have been a little quicker. Other than that one rock thrower, which I've already mentioned a couple of times already, there's not really anything all that threatening in the stage. Okay, the odd occasional Lyric I might concede to. But failures on the rock thrower aside, the others all felt more like clumsiness on my part, rather than the stage throwing me something I couldn't handle. And isn't it oh so nice to have such an easy Robot Master at the end of such a long stage? Stoneman barely deserves another mention, but what the hell, I will give him one. After his first attack, you'd have to be an idiot to get hit to any other one, as he spends the remainder of the fight auditioning to be Toadman's understudy. And it's not the best career move. Despite bemoaning the length of the stage numerous times, 7 outtakes just aren't enough to not put me in a happy frame of mind. So Stoneman gets a 2 out of 10 from me, principally due to the length of his stage and that one rock thrower, which can be a slight pain. Fewer time spent getting the perfect run would probably have resulted in me ranking him lower, but the way things turned out, I just couldn't give him a 1 out of 10, despite how ridiculously easy he himself is to defeat. So things have gone rather well so far, but perhaps that's just me being starry-eyed. Hope to see you next time for more Mega Man 5. Cheerio.